Hello, and welcome to Chair Chat. I am Joyce Doris Coleman, Chairwoman of the Memphis-Shelby County Schools Board of Education. Today, I'm here with our Interim Superintendent, Dr. Roderick Richmond. We will talk about his 30-plus year career in the district and his goals and visions as the Interim Superintendent. Dr. Richmond, what inspired you to become an educator? And what brought you to Memphis-Shelby County Schools?
All my life, I consider myself to have been an educator. What brought me to Memphis-Shelby County Schools is I started off as a substitute teacher back in 1992. And then in 1993, I was hired as a permanent teacher at Airways Middle School. I enjoy education. The father of education, Horace Mann, says education is the great equalizer of this social machinery that we call the democracy. And I feel by educating others, we help them to truly change their lives. And so that's why I enjoy being an educator.
That is awesome. What is your favorite thing about being an educator?
My favorite thing, again, about being an educator is seeing individuals, first of all, have that aha moment when you're possibly teaching them something or teaching a new concept that they may not have been familiar with, but also seeing people grow. Part of being an educator or even being a leader is developing others. And so in being an educator, what I enjoy most is seeing people grow and develop.
Okay, that's awesome. Speaking of educators, we are so proud of Adrian Macklin from Cordova High School for winning the 2025 Grammy Music Educator Award from the Recording Academy and the Grammy Museum. How do you feel about it and other recent achievements that the district has received?
I think it's a great achievement. Most people, and you all are going to continue to hear me talk about the 5 A's: academic, attendance, attitude, the arts, and athletics. So to see him win a Grammy and to see the arts spotlighted in our district, it really does our heart proud. Just today, I was over at Cordova Middle School, and I had an opportunity to hear their choir. I was just speechless listening to the choir. We also had an opportunity today to visit Craigmont High School, and Craigmont High School has built a great band. At both the high school band and the middle school band perform. And when we start talking about feeder pattern and feeder pattern development, those are the types of things that we want to see, where we're seeing elementary schools, middle schools, and high schools within feeder patterns and communities doing outstanding things like what I was able to see today in seeing Cordova Middle School, and not Cordova Middle School's choir, but also seeing Craigmont's middle school band and their high school band.
That's awesome. And the unity in the community.
The unity in the community, yes.
The part there. When did you know you wanted to become a leader in education?
I go back again to Airways Middle School in 1993. I was hired by Clifton Lashley. And in serving as a language arts teacher, 3 years in, our assistant principal became ill. When our assistant principal became ill, Mr. Lashley came to me and a close friend of mine, and he asked, would we like to fill in as the assistant principal while our assistant principal was out? During that time, I was able to see, by having that opportunity to serve as the interim assistant principal, that, hey, I can do this. I can lead in education. I'm learning on the job. I'm learning how to lead in real time, and to see many seasoned educators who were at Airways at the time willing to follow me, willing to allow me to serve in that capacity, helped me to gain an interest in wanting to be an educational leader. I was then able to go back to school to work on my master's at Ole Miss after I completed my educational certification to become a teacher. And so I went back and received my master's in educational leadership. And then I applied for some assistant principalships, and I was able to secure an assistant principalship, and the rest is history.
You have worked in the district for more than 3 decades. Tell us about your journey from being a teacher to an administrator to now being the interim superintendent.
I've had a great journey. I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. Again, starting off as a language arts teacher at Airways Middle School, 3 years in, having the opportunity to serve as an assistant principal. And then I had the opportunity to go to Ross Elementary. At the time, we were annexing the Hickory Hill area, and we were taking in, Memphis City Schools took in Ross Elementary, Crump Elementary, Kirby Middle, and Kirby High. So I had the opportunity to go to Ross Elementary. I served 2 years as an assistant principal, and then I started to apply for some principalships. Again, I go back to policies and practices. At the time, in order for you to become a principal, you had to be a successful assistant principal for 3 years. And so I served 3 years as an assistant principal, and I was able to apply for the principalship. I was the finalist for a particular principalship, but at the time, my principal at Ross, Miss Evelyn Mosley, and I'd like to just say hi to Miss Mosley out there, who's really been an inspiration in my life. I want to thank her for the opportunity she provided me. She asked would I like to have Ross Elementary because she was going to another school. And so I then had the opportunity to become the principal at Ross Elementary. And I applied for Ridgeway Middle. I went through the interview process, and I became the principal at Ridgeway Middle. I was at Ridgeway Middle for 3 years before Dr. Carol Johnson asked me to come to central office. I came to central office, and one of my first roles was being the assistant superintendent of striving schools. And our striving schools were our schools that Governor Bredesen wanted us to turn around at the time. I had over a 3-year period of leading those schools. 80% moved off the list, and 100% of those schools moved into an improved status. And that's where I started to learn how to turn around low-performing schools. Then I moved into to be the transformation officer most recently, where I was responsible for, again, our low-performing schools, which was approximately 94. I was responsible for our charter schools office, our CTE program, our virtual schools, which include our grade 4 through 12 school, along with our adult school, our hearing officials, JROTC, and our athletic program.
Can you give us some insight into the direction and where you want to take the district and where we're headed?
Yes, ma'am. The first thing is, for me, board relations and governance. And so I think the most important thing for me is to be able to work closely with the 9 people who are responsible for me being here. So the first thing I want to do is to build those close relationships with you and your colleagues. I want to put communications mediums in place so that we're opening ourselves up to two-way communication. One way I've started to do that is having daily briefings where you all are getting those emails from me in regards to what's taking place within the district, also keeping you all abreast of things that are going on weekly, and continuing to also look at fine-tuning how we conduct our committee meetings, our work sessions, as well as our board meetings. That's one aspect. Another aspect is really taking a deep dive into our academic programming and our org structure to make sure that it has the form and function necessary for us to be able to be a service center for schools. We want our principals and our teachers and our students to always be able to receive the materials and resources that they need to improve academic outcomes. And as you've heard me say, I want to focus on academics. I think that's our core business, but I also want to focus on attendance. I want to make sure the students are at school each and every day, and they're excited about being at school, as well as our teachers are excited. We want a culture and climate where all of our stakeholders feel included, they feel heard, and they also know that it's a safe, conducive place for learning. We also want to shape students and teachers' attitudes. We want to make sure that our students have the social, emotional supports and things that they need in order to make sure that their mental and physical well-being is what all of us can be proud of, as well as our teachers. We want our teachers who need support through their benefits departments, whether it's focused on health or mental well-being. We want those things to take place because we know healthy employees are employees who can be at work every day and who can pour into our students. And as I've said before, I think athletics and arts is a competitive advantage for our school district, but also for our community. When you think about some of our athletes, we've had some of the best athletes, some of the best athletes to compete nationally, to be professional athletes. And we know we have students right here in our district who also have those talents, and we want to shape those talents. And when we talk about the arts, we've had some of the best musicians and artists like George Hunt, and musicians like Joseph Johnson and Isaac Hayes and many others, the Barcades and Stax Music. We want to cultivate those things that we know are God-given talents that our students have. So we want to focus on that. But we also want to be extremely inclusive in bringing in our partners from the community. We want to make sure that we're addressing that. And last but not least, we want to always operate with a sense of transparency and integrity and trust when it comes to how we manage our dollars, how we are fiscally responsible, so that people can trust that we're getting a return on investment as it relates to different products and materials and things that we're contracting with people with. So my team and I are really looking at that. But again, we go back to the academic plan. We've had an academic audit by the Council of Great City Schools. We're taking a deep dive and looking at that audit. We're also looking at other data to ensure that we're a data-driven district, and every decision we're making for our students to be college, career, and life ready is about data and the return on investment with those materials and resources that we're purchasing.
You can tell me all day long that they're succeeding, but the data, that's something you cannot deny.
Yes, ma'am.
When the data shows it, that's all we have.
Yes, ma'am.
So that's very important. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Since your appointment as interim superintendent, how have you spent much of your time getting acclimated to this new role? I know you're busy from sun up.
Yes, ma'am.
I can't even say the sun that be past.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. My day, believe it or not, my day starts about 5 o'clock. I start off, the first thing I do when I get in the car is I touch base with senior leaders to see what are some of those things that we need to be prepared for the day, or any emergencies that may be evolving that I may not be aware of, that I need to know immediately. I try to arrive early to work. Normally our SROs are having their roll call. I've had an opportunity to go and observe and stand in and to address our SROs. I've told them I want to be the type of interim superintendent that is immersed in the work. I don't want to lead from central office. I want people to know too that I'm approachable. People that know, boots on the ground, and people that know me know that I'm extremely passionate about the work. I've also started to really kind of meet with the academic team, as well as others who are responsible, who are principal leaders, like our network leaders. I'm touching bases with them. I'm being involved in some of that work that's still going on. I'm still really kind of also wearing my hat as transformation officer, because I haven't backfilled that position. So those individuals who are reporting to me in that capacity are reporting to me. But also, most importantly, what I'm trying to do is to reach out again, as I said in our press conference, I'm trying to reach out to both those formal and informal leaders in our community, whether it's governmental officials in relationship to our city council, our county commissioners. I'm trying to reach out to those individuals. Some I know and I have relationships with, some I don't know. But I've also reached out to some of our community advocates and some of those individuals who have had, who've expressed concerns about things that have gone on, because I feel that as the leader of this district, it's my responsibility to bring people together and to not be divisive. I also believe that a leader brings people together, and that's the type of leader that I want people to see me for, and that's also the type of leader that I want people to remember me for, that I was a person to bring people together, a bridge builder. And I recently told principals, I want you to judge me not by how I navigate the peaks, but how I navigate and deal with the valleys. And so I'm all in doing what's right by this community. I'm all in rebuilding trust and bridging those relationships with people, because so goes education, and so goes this district, so goes this community and this city. I realize more so than anybody the importance of our educational programming and district being intact and people trusting and believing in it.
That's awesome. Thank you. Okay, couple more questions.
Yes, ma'am. I'll see.
You've been a principal, deputy superintendent, and chief transformation officer for the school system. In your professional opinion, what do you think you need to help continue moving this district forward for our students? Now, and I'm not just going to say our students, for our community, for our parents, just moving our district forward.
First of all, whoever is leading in any educational capacity has to be a chief advocate for children. So I want people to always know that I am the chief advocate for what is best for children. I also think whoever sits in this seat has to enjoy intellectual work, and that means they have to continue to be lifelong learners, where they have to read and take part in professional development that allows them as well as their staff to grow. But last but not least, I believe you have to be willing to work with and through people. I don't have to get all of the credit, nor do I want all of the credit. This job is about working with and through people and giving. At the end of the day, I don't have to receive any credit. Again, when people see me, I want them to remember me as someone who was a participatory, distributive leader, but also someone who was a servant leader, a person who will get out amongst the people, who will continue to grow and develop others. I want to have the best and the brightest around me. I want to be secure enough, again, to share the praise, but at the end of the day, I can delegate everything but final responsibility. And so what I think we have to do is to, again, continue to recruit and retain the best and the brightest, whether it's teachers, administrators, central office leaders, and even students. I want the best and the brightest. And I think, again, the way we do that is making sure that our district is a world-class urban district that is second to none.
The award-winning districts that we
Yes, ma'am.
before. Yes. Okay. Communication is the key to any good working relationship. How do you see yourself working closely with me, my other 8 colleagues on the school board?
Yes, ma'am. People may not know it, but in any leadership capacity, particularly in education, 75% of your job responsibility is education. Is communication. And so you have 2 forms of communication. You have written and oral communication. And so I want to make sure that I'm communicating things in a way that a layperson can understand. I don't want to talk over people's heads. I don't want to make people think that they're beneath me. So I'm always going to be the type of person that I can interface and communicate with anyone in this district. anyone within this district and within this community. I want to make sure that lines of communication are open for all stakeholders to understand along the entire delivery chain what is happening and occurring in our schools. That includes parents, students, teachers, administrators, business partners, governmental officials, as well as, again, you all as board members. Again, as I've said, I want to ensure that every day I'm communicating with you all through my daily briefings. Any significant events that may occur during the day, I want to ensure that I have a process in place to communicate those things to you all and that we're staying on top of that. I've started to put some weekly communications in place. So again, putting those structures in place, I have what's called the Monday memo. So every week I'm communicating to principals important topics that they need to be aware of throughout the week, as I've shared with you all, daily briefings to you all. And then I've talked to my team about, at the end of the week, distributing communications to the entire district, all the district employees, recapping my week and what I've done this week to move our district forward.
And we thank you for being very, very accessible to the board
Yeah.
this time.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and the last question, what is your advice to those who want to become a leader in education? A leader
in education. Well, first of all, leadership is not about position. Leadership is not about position. One of my favorite authors is John Maxwell, and John Maxwell talks about the 360-degree leader. And he believes that in any organization, you can lead from anywhere within that organization. And so I've always considered myself a leader of leaders. Leadership is plural. It's never singular. And so when I look at leadership, I want teachers to know that, hey, you can be a teacher in one of our smallest schools, but you can be seen as a leader. We have students anywhere within our district. You can be a leader. Leadership, plain and simple, is influencing. But what I want people to do is to be positive influences around change and the things needed and necessary to move our district forward and to better our community.
Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Joyce Doris Coleman, chair of the Memphis-Shelby County Schools, and we just had a very, very interesting conversation with our interim superintendent, Dr. Roderick Richmond. Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Richmond, for your time today.
Thank you for the opportunity.
It was
Thank
a
you.
pleasure.
Yes,
We'll
ma'am.
get you back real soon to get a follow-up.